And remember that all of us, I can talk about myself, but I think all of us, we all have wounds that are
Mhm.
not seen, okay? And over time, we've put band aid upon band aid upon band aid on it.
Yeah.
Now, when we write, Tammy, we start taking the band aids off. When we give our words a voice, and I share it with you and everybody else, it's like putting the wound in the sun to heal.
Mm.
That is the power of our voice.
Welcome back to the Executive Exhale podcast, folks. Today, I am super, super, super excited to have Dr. Bahareh Amidi with us today because she's become a good, close colleague and friend of late. She's affectionately known as the spiritual poetess of light and is globally celebrated as a poetry therapist, author, and storyteller whose groundbreaking Healing Through Words framework has transformed lives across diverse communities. With a PhD in educational psychology from Catholic University and a master's in family, marriage, and child counseling from the College of Notre Dame, Dr. Amidi blends clinical expertise along with her mastery, to help individuals uncover their true selves, to heal, and to find expression. Dr. Amidi's workshops, seminars, and retreats, which I've been a part of, and I got to tell you, are magic,
Mhm.
have touched the lives of cancer patients, medical professionals, university students, and countless others worldwide. As a TEDx speaker and certified poetry therapist, Dr. Amidi passionately demonstrates the healing power of words and storytelling. Through a simple yet profound combination of pen, paper, and heart, she invites participants to explore their inner wisdom, forming deep connection with themselves and those around them. Her mission remains clear: to make the written word and expression accessible to people of all ages and backgrounds, offering hope, healing, and a path forward. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. So I always love to start with the guest to kind of get a sense that folks that have never heard about you, don't know who you are, maybe give us a bit of background of who Bahareh is and what brings your passions to life these days.
Thank you, Tammy. Definitely. Well, you did do a little bit of background. It's interesting. Sometimes I wonder if that's who I am. Uh, Really, it's like, yes, the degrees are great and the experiences are great, but who am I? It's like today I'm a different person than I was yesterday, than I
I
was
know.
10 years ago. Today, I am the person that comes to you, like you said right before we started, like two professionals that like to bring what we do with our hearts.
Mhm.
I come here and I step into this moment knowing that I am simply offering a gift that has been given to me. And I love to bring that gift to others. And that is the gift of words and voice.
Mhm. I love that.
Mhm.
And having been in many sessions of yours in the past, what I love about working with you is how almost surprisingly so, in an odd way, it's so surprising how deep one can go very quickly
Mhm, mhm.
when using their words.
That is so true, Tammy. You know that I've said so many times that all you need to do is, of course, I have it in front of me, is a blank piece of paper, a pen, and your heart. And now, of course, I always have to say you, or a blank screen, or a blank tablet, or a blank phone screen. This is all you need to
Mhm.
kind of come to the table to meet yourself and nobody else, in fact. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you more about it if you'd like, or, we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah. I mean, I just love to inquire a little bit as you've done these groups. I'm assuming you've done this for quite a while now. What are some of the What are some can you give a story perhaps or some background on an event, a story of a person, or maybe not like detailed person, obviously we don't wanna betray confidentiality, but what are some of the things that come out of these sessions you do that you yourself are always amazed at?
Thank you, Tammy. Well, first of all, I have to tell you that quite often I ask people not to introduce me as a poetry therapist
Right.
because I find that when you say the word poetry,
Yep,
half the room shuts off.
yep.
When you say the word therapy, the other half. It's true. It's true. And if you're dealing with a person's being half and half shut off. So I
True.
meet people where they are, meaning if we are doing a session on, I don't know, let's say I was in Silicon Valley doing a session for these startup companies and engineers and this and that. And I just called it something like, in fact, the place is called Plug and Play Tech Center. So I named our session Plug into Yourself to become closer to you, to become closer to your colleagues, to your family. Um, so the gist of it is that even even engineers, even VCs, all of these people who walk in and you start talking about writing and they're like, oh my God, what is she talking about? Once they start to just listen and
Yeah.
see that we're not talking about writing things that have metaphor, simile, none of that matters. They really open up. And of course, then we have people in sessions that are women in safe houses,
Mm,
parents with children who have cancer at cancer patient, centers, doctors, nurses. These people are a little, I mean, they are open to anything that will help heal.
mm.
And a particular story you said, I mean, this is a good story. It goes back to Silicon Valley. We wrote with this group of board members, 25 people. I had only 25 minutes because they had important things to discuss. And at the end, I said, whoever wants to share, and, this older gentleman started sharing, and his tears started coming down the eyes. And everybody was a little bit like this. What do you do? And I said, we're here simply to hold your words with love and respect
Yeah.
and no judgment at all. And then later I found out he's like the head of the biggest, I don't know, Exxon, this and that company. And I was and somebody said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "Well, somebody with feelings." So that is really just an example of
I
how
love
you
that.
can touch people. Yes.
I love that. I just see a person with feelings. The position and title, and I love that. I love, 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 love that because I've been saying for probably the better part of a decade, but most especially since I started doing heart breath, that we are all souls having a human experience. And at the end of the day, when we're able to recognize each other's humanity in these moments, that's where the power really comes from.
Definitely. We go back to just the beginning when I thank you for the introduction, but that's the PhD, the this, the that, those are all, I don't know. I think they're important to have on your wall because then people will think what you're saying is important or I am credible to be saying what I'm doing. I have the certification. But at the end of the day, again, it's the gift that I bring that I've been given.
So maybe if you could provide a bit of a sense of what are these sessions like? What are they about? So people can understand when Bahari comes to my boardroom and brings her gift, what does that look like?
Definitely, definitely. What it looks like is that I come in with my piece of paper and I say, I studied 3.5 years to become a certified poetry therapist, but I'm going to tell you in 3.5 minutes what is poetry therapy. And it is simply the fact that Anywhere you see a blank piece of paper, that is an invitation to your heart and soul. So imagine now all the blank pieces of paper anywhere in the world, all the blank screens, all the blank tablet screens, all inviting your heart and souls. All you need to do is to simply open your heart. But sometimes we have a lot of stuff around our heart.
Yeah.
So opening it is not that easy, but you want to open your heart and let it pour out onto the paper. It is that pouring motion. It means I will not say, oh, Bahareh, that's stupid. Don't write that. I say, pour your brain a cup of coffee and ask it to sit outside and sit here with me, the paper, the pen, your heart, and a cup of chamomile tea. It is all about that. And then if people are like, well, what do we write? We write only about two things, Tammy. We write about images and feelings that come to us in this moment now.
Right.
It is truly, truly about the magic of this moment. It's everything Dale Carnegie used to do, everything Eckhart Tolle does to bring us here. Our heart is the best place that can do that.
I absolutely love that description of, I love the visual of pouring your heart onto the page. Because I think about the leaders that I work with and how stuck they are above their necks. Everything is very logical, processing, strategic. We have all of the things that we do in our work, but we very rarely come down into the heart space.
Yes, you should tell them to leave their brains outside with a cup of coffee and come here with a cup of chamomile tea and their heart, and then everything will go well.
What I love about this is that this is something that, and also I want to just say, I also love the notion of a blank page being an invitation.
Mhm.
I love that because sometimes when we are looking to do something, we look at a blank page, we get a bit nervous. I know sometimes I would get nervous about a blank page. What am I supposed to write on here? What do I want to do? Do I go to ChatGPT? Like, I don't want to think for myself almost, right? But what I love about what you're bringing to the table is, no, this is about feelings and images.
Yes.
Love, love, love that. So then from a practical perspective, since a blank page is an invitation, I teach my clients mindfulness around breath work and how to tap into their parasympathetic when they're stressed out. But how could I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway, how we can take this skill that you're bringing to these groups into, let's say a leader has just had an immensely stressful meeting. They're sitting at their desk and they're feeling very dysregulated. Tammy's breath is just not doing the trick. How do they bring your work in to really effectively get them into a better space? So I'd
Thank you.
love to hear what you have to say about that.
I have to be honest with you, as I am. I got like this goose pimples when you said Tammy's breath is not doing the trick. Because I wanted to say Tammy's breath always does the trick, of
Well,
course.
assume it doesn't.
But assume we need a little bit more
Right,
from our
right,
inner
right.
kids. Assume we need a little bit more or different. We just need
Yes.
something different. There are times that we just need something different.
True.
Tammy, so the gist of it is that you just grab a book of poetry, you go to Google, put in poem of the day, you've heard a poem before. It really doesn't have to be anything in particular, and you'll
Right.
see why. And the reason is that this is simply a place to start. The reason why we call it poetry therapy is that we read a poem together in the beginning. And that poem becomes the beginning of this tool. There's this very short poem that let me just say these 4 or 5 lines, Tammy, for
Sure.
you.
Yes.
And then while you're listening, Tammy, you're not thinking about rhyming, metaphor, what was the poet trying to say. No, you just listen
Mhm.
to if a line or phrase resonates with you
Love it.
this moment. Okay? So this is called The Angel Who Lost His Wings. Once upon a time, there was an angel who had lost his wings. He was walking through life, wondering what fault had made his wings disappear. He saw the birds flying in the sky and the bees buzzing around. He saw a rock by the river and he sat and he sat and he sat. After years of sitting, he decided to walk again and look for his wings. That is when he started to fly, wingless, with heart. So at the end of the poem, it's not about saying, wow, that was such a beautiful poem, blah, 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 blah. None of that. But I will ask you, Tammy, was there a line or phrase that resonated with you, especially at this moment? Tell me what it was.
Interesting. There were sort of 3 words that popped out for me. The first was lost,
Mm-hmm.
the second was fault,
Mm-hmm.
and the third was heart.
As there are no rights or wrongs, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. For me, today was where he sat and sat, sat. Notice all of these have the 3 dots after them. But I love this poem because it starts with once upon a time.
Mhm.
It can be dot, dot, dot. It is those 3 dots that are the invitation and that are telling you to, oh, you can start here to write. And until you do it, you will feel like, oh, yeah, whatever. Okay, in my mind, I'll just think. But no, please put your pen on paper.
Mhm.
Please put, I don't know, write in your memo. It doesn't have to be right and right and right. It's just 2 minutes, 3 minutes, at max, 4, whatever. It can be lost in thought. It can be anything. It can be one word and it's perfect. And I can fill a whole page and that's perfect. Does that make sense to you,
Yeah.
Tammy?
Yeah, that makes sense. When we did this at a conference together, what was interesting is that having written a word or 2 down and then expanding on that word, what was very intriguing to me was how easily the words came as I wrote.
Mm.
It was shocking to me. And for folks who are listening to this on the podcast or watching, like, I'm fairly left-brained in the sense that I'm a very illogical person, even though I have a lot of heart. I spent a lot of time in my corporate career in my head. So when going into this session with the heart, opening up the heart, that's always there and has always been there, but it was really allowing it to come through. I was shocked at how quickly I was able to go deep. And it brought me to a place into my childhood I didn't even see coming. And it was interesting because the words that showed up on that day were very much in alignment with the healing journey I was on at that time and the things I needed to release, which is why I think what you do is so powerful.
Mm.
It's almost as if the words, the poetry, it triggers your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because you're connecting to your heart through feelings and through images which evoke feelings, which is why images are so powerful, you're essentially tapping into your somatic self where you store feeling memories in the body. right? And so when you do this work, like I would invite you to, if you're listening to this or watching this, go back to Bahareh's poem, like scroll back,
Mhm.
go back to the poem and write down the words of that poem and follow exactly what she just said to you. Go in, find the words that you, or maybe you were listening to this and you're like, yeah, the word X really came out and popped out to me. And take 2 minutes, pause this video, pause this podcast, take 2 minutes, sit down on a blank piece of paper and actually write down. So that is an amazingly transformational experience in my mind. But I would say it goes even deeper. Because what do you do next with your with your crew that are doing this work?
I will tell you, I'm almost tempted to say, Tammy, do you want to write for a minute
I
or
could write for a minute, just a minute. We'll just
a
write
minute?
a sentence or two.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you need to pause or not pause, but even 30 seconds. Let's say we
Yeah.
just share one sentence
Yeah.
together.
And for those watching, listening, you'll, when I come back, it's because the time has elapsed. It'll be magic. But here we go. So yeah, let's write. Okay. That was amazing. So welcome back, folks. It's magic.
Welcome back. And before we share, Tammy, I have to say that we are here now, you and I, and whoever else is joining us. And we have to remember that when we open our heart to this degree and write, this now becomes a sacred circle of 2, of 20, of 200. When we share with each other, it's this, Tammy. When you read, I'm here to hold your words and your voice with love and respect and no judgment at all. And it's not about me saying, oh my God, Tammy, I know that happened to me before. No, what you read is yours. I respect. You can say as much as you want. Maybe I'll say, oh, that line or that word resonated with me. That's called mirroring back, but nothing more. With that, may I ask you to share?
Sure. So I focused on the word heart to start. To
Mhm,
start.
mhm,
So
mhm.
this is what I wrote down. And by the way, folks, I fast forwarded to the section that you're watching. It took me less than 30 seconds to come up with this. So just, all right. So my heart is full, no longer lost in the void, no longer attached to my faults, full of love, acceptance, and a desire to walk the path with others, craving connection to their own hearts. That spilled out of me literally in 30 seconds.
What I would then say is, Tammy, how does that feel for you?
It feels very good, very light, very, the only word that comes to mind is aligned.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Mhm.
imagine having a longer period of time to write a
Yeah,
bit more. And let me also share. And the
sure.
thing is, Tammy, that whoever is in the circle writes. So when I'm in a third grade and the teacher thinks she's going to grade papers, I remind her that no, we're all going to write. So here I wrote, and I've written from this poem dozens and dozens of times. Each time it has a different gift
Mhm.
because this moment is different. I wrote, once upon a time, I wondered about my calling. Today, I hear it, feel it, share it, here, now.
Beautiful.
And the way that makes me feel is that, and notice it's all about feel. I asked you, how, what did it make you feel? I
Mm,
didn't say, wow, that was fantastic. No, just how does it make you feel? The way this made me feel was grateful and present.
mm. Grateful and present.
Mhm.
I absolutely, well, first of all, I adore you, but I love this work you do. I
Yes, thank you. Maybe you adore me because you love the work that I
maybe. No, I know you're some awesome human being. It's so impactful when you can unpack using your words. And going back to that leader who just had a stressed out meeting,
do.
doing something like this could allow you to unpack very quickly in a matter of a few minutes. what you're feeling in that moment, because a word will trigger you from a poem or from whatever you've read, and that will resonate enough for you to go deep. Like you're it's like there's no other way to say this, Bahareh. It's like your subconscious mind goes, "Yep, that's the word. Ding, ding, ding. That's the one we want to focus on." And your conscious mind goes, "Oh yeah, I recognize this word. I'm not sure why."
Tammy, I could never say it any better than you just have, truly. And remember that all of us, I can talk about myself, but I think all of us, we all have wounds that are
Mhm.
not seen, okay? And over time, we've put band aid upon band aid upon band aid on it.
Yeah.
Now, when we write, Tammy, we start taking the band aids off. When we give our words a voice, and I share it with you and everybody else, it's like putting the wound in the sun to heal.
Mm.
That is the power of our voice.
So would you recommend then, if say the same, I'm going back to this leader, because this is the people that I work with, is at their desk, that they should, at least if there's no one else in the room, at the very minimum, they should vocalize to themselves what they've just written?
Thank you. Yes, please.
Gotcha.
Please. If you feel like standing in front of the mirror, great. If you don't, hearing it,
Yep.
how was it for you right now? You wrote it, but how was it when you read it out loud?
I love the feeling of reading it because it solidifies the feeling that you asked me about.
Yes, exactly.
And I know that when we did this together, you had me, because there was so much emotion at the one in the conference. There was so much emotion behind what I was saying that you asked me to read it again. And then how did that make me feel? And it was incredible, because when you do it the second time, again, if you're by yourself, do this a second time, because the feeling might have shifted. You may have released emotion the first time you read it. And now the second time you're reading it, and you're like, okay, I feel more balanced. I feel more energized. At the time, I was feeling more like a sense of relief
Mhm, mhm.
almost, which is amazing. And what I love about this work, and in connection to what I do in the heart breath space, is every time we do this, it's different.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. If I tell you that I just had a session with a group that are therapists at a place that deals with grief and loss, and I did this very same thing, and it was completely different. I mean, there we had 25 people, but the essence of it is each moment has its own gift, Tammy.
Yeah. It has its own gift, and because it has its own gift, it therefore will lead to either new awareness, new perspective, a new focus, a new direction, or it could just simply, this is my experience, but I'm not an expert, you are, is it also could also just be a validation.
You took the word right out of my mouth. I was
Right.
just gonna say it's validation.
Yeah. Well, we are connected heart to heart over this. I mean, let's be real.
We are. Yes, that's definitely something
Makes it a
we
lot easier to read each other's energy when you're connected.
do.
That's amazing. And the way I see the power of this, the alchemy of this, is the written word and the reading of it. It's like, in the same way that breath is
Mhm.
the bridge between the mind and the body, this written word and then vocalizing it is also, in and of itself, a bridge between the brain and the mind and the body, because you're connecting the
Mhm.
two in a very powerful transformational way. So cool. I love that so much.
Tammy, you're so right. Since I've had the pleasure and honor of doing breath work with you, it's something that if you tell me do the breathe, it's like, oh, thank you, yeah, whatever. But the experience I had was something I went inside to a place like I didn't have access to before.
Right.
And with the breath, then my body became aware of the feelings. I think there was no brain in there at all. I don't know. But yes, they are very much related, Tammy. The breath, the words, and the voice.
Which leads me to a really great segue why we're working together to put a session together in the new year in January to start your new year with purpose and connection, because being able to offer our gifts, it's a form of alchemy,
Mhm.
um, because we're bringing these two different ways of approaching your subconscious mind and direction and feelings. It is so powerful because we can use your written word and voice at the front end and then bring in the breath to really tap into those deep places. And I'm so excited for anyone who participates in this. And to be honest with you, I'm a little jealous that I'm not participating in it and that I'm actually facilitating it, because I would love to. I'm going to participate in the written part, obviously, but I I wish we could both do both at the same time, because the alchemy of that is going to be massive.
Mhm.
And by the way, guys, I'm not saying this to blow rainbows up my butt. Like, this is true. Like, getting real here, getting real. This is not about throwing rainbows up anywhere. This is truly transformational stuff, guys. Like, this is amazing work. Now, when you do this, it obviously impacts the individual, but I just want to say before we start to thinking about closing out, I really want to connect to the community aspect of this, because you do work with individuals, you also do group work. How does this work have a positive impact on the community at large, the people that are beyond us?
Is incredible. Well, let's just start with the session I just finished of 25 therapists. First of all, they said that they have never felt so close to each other.
Wow.
They've been working together for years, but they said that this is the first time we felt comfortable to share what we shared. They just felt close. Somebody said, I think I'm going to share this with my family tonight
Wow.
and then with my clients. But Tammy, the thing is that it can, I said, maybe right after Thanksgiving dinner, we can bring out the white pieces of paper. And
Right, right.
joke, but it's not a joke because
Yeah,
it's so easy, it's so accessible. Everybody will feel seen and heard and cared for.
yeah,
And you said the community. I think it's just this. First starts with 2 people, 25 people, some of them sharing with their families, families sharing with others. I think validation, being seen, being heard and understood is what we really need. We always need it, but we especially need it now.
oh gosh, yeah. Just think of how different the world would be if all of us felt more connected to each other, because ultimately, as human beings, we all pretty much want similar things. We want peace, we want to be able to live our lives in prosperity and enjoy, and yeah, connecting to each other in this way is a pretty, and I love the idea, by the way, for those of you who are, like, celebrating Thanksgiving this week. I love the, hopefully this will get out before. I love the idea of bringing this to even to the evening activities, rather than playing Jackbox on TV, maybe have a session where somebody reads a part of a book or a Christmas story, gosh, who knows, whatever, and then just sort of have everybody write something. I just love that idea because, as you say, it'll open up doors. Now, obviously, you wanna make sure that it's a sacred circle and that people can do this in a safe way.
Thank
You
you
know?
for that.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
'Cause you don't wanna do it if there's a lot of, animosity at the table, but
No, no, and the heart doesn't open in that case, or maybe 5 people will sit to the side and do this. The gist of it is that it is something that has changed my life,
yeah,
and that in fact I I believe in so deeply that I want to just bring it here today and bring it anywhere tomorrow. Yeah.
right, right. So, what's next for Bahari? What's on the horizon for you?
That's a very loaded question. How much time? I can simply tell you I'm looking forward to our time together in January, and whomever honors me, honors us to join us on this part of the journey.
Definitely, definitely. And where can they find you if any of this resonates and I have to talk to her, what's the best place for people to
Please,
go?
please. Normally, I have things that I would show you, but I don't. So, my website is simply Bahareh.com, BAHAREH.com. My email is connect@bahareh.com. I'm very, very good at answering emails. And I have a few books on Amazon, and one that's called Your Words, Your Voice, that deals especially with this, Tammy. Thank you. That's what I normally have at hand.
Here's
Yes.
the book. It's upside, it's backwards, but you get the gist. Your words, your voice. Beautiful book, and it's beautifully illustrated with different words and poems and so on in it. Just pick it up. It is a beauty of a book because you can use this to do your writing exercises. It's amazing, and she has all the instructions in here on how to do it. So,
Exactly. That is my thesis after 3.5 years of study.
wow,
So
amazing.
the capsule.
Well, I'll
Capsule.
have all the links in the show notes. So the links to the books, the links to Bahareh's website, it'll all be in the show notes. So just click on those and go find her, bring her into your organization. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. And in the next couple of weeks, we will be putting some links out there for you to join up and sign up for our session in January, because it'll be a fantastic way to start your new year, getting that perspective you need to be able to make the changes in your life that you want and to be able to connect with yourself deeply. It's going to be an amazing session, and I cannot wait to partner with Bahareh on this. It's going to be exciting.
And we're not saying it's amazing because we are part of it. It's just it's going to be amazing because you're going to be part of it.
This is amazing only because Bahareh and I both know from the clients we've served the positive and transformational impacts we've seen in our clients doing this work. Like with me with breath work, it can be as little as one session where you're going to see an amazing transformation, a different perspective emerge. I'm super excited to work with you.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for this invitation. I'm honored to be here with you, and I am delighted to be able to share this gift with others.
Thanks again for listening and or watching to the Executive Excel podcast today. I'm so happy that you joined us. If you liked any of this, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, follow, do all the things. It's free and it helps us get out to more people and share the message of connecting to our hearts as leaders and making sure that we focus on our wellness. Remember, folks, to stay inspired, stay grounded, and remember to exhale.